Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and I want to talk a little bit about some very current events. Israel and Palestine. So, we have Hamas pushing a very low tech attack on Israel, kidnapping, killing, all kinds of things. But now we hear Israel, oh, this is definitely war, and even calling Palestinians less than human. They are all animals. Let's finish this. Blah blah blah. These kinds of things. And you know the funny, not funny, haha, but the stupid thing. Let's say nobody wanted to step in and really stop this before it got out of control, before we reached this point. Because guess what? Israel, they were just, grabbing snippets of land, basically having forced control of power, monetary, food, all this, walling in Palestinians. Israel had essentially become an apartheid state, very much on the same basis as South Africa in the 80s and 90s. And not far from where Nazi Germany was in the 1940s, when they were abusing who? Oh, right. Jewish people. The people Israel was remade for. And it was just allowed to go on for the abuses Israel placed upon the Palestinian people. Now, what Hamas did, what Palestine did, it's not an acceptable form to do this. But when you've got little opportunities, I kind of understand it. It still don't excuse it. But when you're backed into a corner, that snake will strike. That dog will bite back. But now what we've got is a boiling pot that is very close to boiling over. Because this puts some tensions out there, especially since there's some fucking war hawk hotheads who want to see a war, who want to fund a war. because we know, yes, Iran was probably at least allied with Hamas, providing them moral support, if not weapons and other things. Through numerous channels. But this does not mean we should be sitting there going, yeah, let's go to fucking war with Iran, man. No, this... Listen. If there's anything we should do at this point, we should be seeking a peaceful resolution. Where Israel tears down some of those walls and cages and loosens some of the restrictions on Palestinians. Because, guess what? Israel hadn't been a country for a couple thousand years until we reestablished it, even though Palestinians had been living there. So much of the problems in the Middle East are a great majority the fault of the West. I ain't talking just about the U.S. I'm talking, Britain, France, a number of the former big colonial powers. The Ottoman Empire more or less toppled after the events of World War I. The land was divvied up into what the European powers thought suitable, making much of the modern map of the Middle East through the use of the Sykes-Picot agreement. So, that whole area was once one nation, part of the Ottoman Empire. But Western powers come in. Let's make this is its own country, and this is its own country, and this is its own country. People lived in peace there until we started putting borders. But then in the late 30s and the first half of the 40s, World War II, the Holocaust. So, the idea to create a new Israel came about. And like I said, it hadn't been around for two millennia. I think I said centuries before, but millennia, 2,000 years, not 200. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, we'll create a new one, even though they hadn't lived there in thousands of years. And at first, they tried a, dual state solution. things would only get worse. And over time, Israel will take this land, this land, this land. And so the Palestinians' land kept shrinking. Until now, they are on the eastern area of Israel. It's called the West Bank because it borders on the west of Syria. And Gaza, which is a little tiny itty bitty strip of land in the southern edge. I mean, it used to be that they were connected. Now you can't intertravel if you're Palestinian between the two. If you are of Palestinian descent and live elsewhere, you can't like just go and visit relatives that still live in Palestine. The power, water, essential supplies, they all end up going through approval from Israel before they even get to Palestine. And like I said, taking of the land, you start to see why there are some violent groups in Palestine. And at this point, get rid of the idea of a two-state solution. There needs to be a UN peacekeeping envoy as they just break down walls, let the whole nation interflow between each other. Because this should not be a I hate you because you're a different ideology, or they claim Israelites are an ethnicity unto their own, but no. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Again, I have no qualms with the individuals, Israeli civilians and citizens. My issue is with that government, people who rule, and these right-wing war hawk zealots. If there's one thing you should always seek first, it should always be peace. But instead, Israel wanted to basically stamp them down as much as they could and keep them under heel and be like, you do what we say, you do what we tell you to do, and you'll live. That's it. can't promise you'll live, what should be a respectable, decent life, but you'll live. But one thing I want to point to, people who are wanting to threaten Iran in the U.S. and other places, no. We should never want a fucking war. And especially not with Iran right now. They were following an agreement we had them with until little dipshit Trump ripped up the agreement. Even the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Association, said, yeah, everything's on board with what you made with the deal. And then he goes and bees a little bitch and rips up the agreement. But going in and saying, they're nuclear power, so we should go to war with them. No. Fuck you. You need your nuts kicked up in the top of your goddamn head. Because clearly you don't have a brain. Because what part of the big problem further is, right now we're supplying ammo to Ukraine, supplies to Ukraine. We're not supposed to be physically involved, although technically I think there has been shadow groups from different countries mentioned to have been involved. But even that, we're ridiculously losing stockpiles while Ukraine is fighting Russia. But guess who is also an ally of Iran? Russia and China and a number of other Middle Eastern nations. This could end up being a World War III situation if we do not use our goddamn brain. But some people are so pro-war hawkish. They don't care. They just want to see the military-industrial complex make more money and couldn't give a shit about the American citizens. And people like that should not be in power. But, unfortunately, there's too many of the people like that who are in power. Now, like I've already pointed out, a big portion of this, Israel's just as much at fault as Palestine. And it opens the door to World War III. There needs to be rational action and thought in how this is handled. It just irritates me that so many politicians are like, we need to go to war. It's like, stupid. Hey, dumbass. Anyway, I just wanted to get a few things off my a few thoughts out about what's going on with that. But I'll end this here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite your sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.